young people around the world want to see change. Join your co-hosts, William, Anastasia, and George, as they speak to young leaders from around the world on their stories, their struggles, and most importantly, their incredible impact. In season 2 of this podcast, be ready to get inspired. This is where action begins, and this is the Young Changemakers podcast.
We like to think of technology as an everyday part of our lives. Wake up, look at your phone, check your emails, call to chat with a friend and a family member, maybe watch a funny cat video, and even listen to this very podcast on your phone. Technology is embedded to every part of our lives, and it's always been seen as a mechanism to improve a problem or gap. At first glance, you could believe that technology in its most basic form is considered almost always neutral. But think again. Those with hearing problems or those with disabilities may find some features limiting or halting their opportunity to connect online as well as with the wider community. So, what is our opportunity to shape technology as a force for good? Hi everyone, Anastasia here, and I'm very, very excited to be interviewing Mateo today to explore this very topic. How can we make sure that people of all abilities can use services in our world as they had intended with the use of tech? Mateo is a 21-year-old tech entrepreneur from Buenos Aires, Argentina. When he was 17, he won the international robotics competition and actually later created his first company, Asteroid Technologies. Their first product, Háblalo, is an app that assists more than 100,000 people worldwide with disabilities, all entirely for free. Mateo today serves as a head of innovation for ORT Schools and was recognized as a Humanitarian Innovator of the Year by MIT. I really did love having this chat with Mateo. I think it really evokes how you need to think about really considering everyone in everything that you do, people of all abilities. It's ultimately our job and our responsibility to be a force to shape technology for good. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the podcast. Hello, Mateo. Thank you so much for joining the Young Changemakers podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. No, thank you. Thank you a lot for having me. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, amazing. We're so happy to have you on. Where are you coming in to record this episode from?
Well, I'm right now sitting in my room in the neighborhood of Caballito, which actually translates to little horse, so kind of weird, in the city of Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, my home country.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. It's called the little horse, was it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's cool. I've never been to like any part of South America. It's definitely a place that I've always wanted to go. And you're currently in lockdown situation with COVID. How's everything going at the moment with your family and friends? Hope everyone's okay.
Yeah. No, luckily everyone's okay. I'm okay too. So that's the happy part. But Argentina is having a really, really long lockdown, and quarantine is being extremely long. We are 153 days and counting in lockdown here in Buenos Aires. So it's been hard on maybe the psychological, emotional part. But for the health part, we are good. We're good.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. Like 150 plus days. Like, I know that's definitely been
I'm having a really hard time.
Yeah, 100%. I can just imagine. So it's good to hear that you guys are, keeping your spirits high and, hoping everything's okay there with family and friends and stuff. One of the things that we usually do as we begin our podcast with any of our guests is really just to ask, what is a favorite quote, especially during these times, words that keep you going through those difficult, challenging times. So what is your quote, Mateo?
Well, that's a really hard question, because I have lots of quotes. I really could think of plenty, but maybe I can find one that is kind of mainstream. Like maybe someone even said it before because lots of people know it. But I think it's a really, really great phrase for everyone, but particularly for entrepreneurs and people who are having a really hard time because, entrepreneurs, we are having a hard time on lockdown, but we always have hard times. So I think "Stay hungry, stay foolish" is like a really, really, really cool phrase, really cool quote, which I sometimes think of, when I'm having a hard time, and I say, well, I gotta keep going, right? I gotta keep trying, gotta keep working hard. I just cannot give up. It doesn't matter if it's COVID or a really hard financial moment or economical crisis, whatever it is. You have to keep going. You have to keep going forward, and really don't be paralyzed by any fear or any problems you may encounter. But maybe if you allow me, I will add one more, which
go ahead. I love it. Go ahead.
Which really doesn't have a lot to do with the time we're going through, but it's a quote I love. It's not actually a famous quote. I use the famous one, so I'm going to use one that one friend always says when we meet, and it's like his iconic phrase, right? So he always goes, entrepreneurs can't be bad people, because if entrepreneurs are bad people, they failed, right? And that's kind of a phrase that when I first heard it, I was like, oh God, that's like, it's a simple phrase, right? It's a simple quote.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's extremely true. And I drive my entrepreneurial journey every single day through that phrase. Like, you cannot be a bad guy. You cannot be greedy. You cannot be, like selfish. You gotta be open. You gotta share. You gotta be a nice guy with everyone. You gotta be thankful, and you gotta be respectful. If not, you're probably going to fail with your entrepreneurial journey, right? So yeah, those are kind of two quotes I really like.
Wow, I love that. And I love that you kind of you started to achieve that word through thinking about, like, how can I help others? How can I be of benefit to society? And
right.
And I think that's that really rings true, even though I think it's not quite simple. Like, there's definitely a lot there. And and I think there's a lot to deep dive into that, which leads, I think, on to kind of like understanding a little bit more about your journey. Mateo, would love to hear about, I mean, I've given a brief introduction at the beginning of this podcast, but would love to give everyone a little bit of an overview about yourself and a little bit more about how you got started.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of really a funny story with lots of weird and maybe strange things going on in the middle. So it's a really funny story. I enjoy telling the story because it has been some really, really incredible few years, like getting into technology and working with technology for disabled people and really getting myself into the world of technology, not only for helping people, but for lots of other stuff too. So like the story, well, it begins 21 years ago actually, but like the real story with technology, I always loved technology. I always knew I wanted to like devote myself to it and work with technology and study technology and like get involved with it as much as I could. I always knew that, like, since I was a little kid. But when I started like getting really, really into technology, like somehow professionally maybe, was when I was 14 in my school. In high school, I got to enter our robotics club. That maybe in Australia or in other parts of the world, it's common to have a robotics club in your high school. Or maybe more common. In Argentina, it's really weird. Like it's not a really common thing to have those. So my school is pretty particular. I study at ORT Schools, which are a worldwide organization for schools that teach particularly technology in a really, really excellent way. Right. So I did my high school there and I got really involved with robotics by 2015. When I was 16, I got to be like the Argentina's national robotics champion. I'm talking about
very cool. Champion.
Thank you. When I was 16, I was the country's national champion on sumo robots or sumo bots, which are, the classic Asian sport sumo, which is two people have to push each other out of a platform.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but with autonomous robots, right? Which drive themselves using sensors and a little bit of artificial intelligence to try to identify the other robot and push it out of the platform. So that kind of weird sport is my thing. And I was, as I'm telling you, the national robotics champion. But then the real big deal came in, because when I won that national robotics championship, they selected me and a friend to represent the country in an international robotics championship in Israel, right? In Haifa, which is the one of the northernmost cities of Israel. So I got to travel there and compete in an international championship, which is really, really hard. Like the participants were the United States, Russia, Ukraine, Mexico, Argentina, and Israel. And for you to have a little bit of perspective of what we saw when we were there, the Russian team were 43. The Ukrainian team were 32. People from the United States were 12. Mexicans were 7, and Israelis were 150. There were a lot of them.
And then Argentina was just 2.
Yeah, we were 2 and a teacher. So it was yes, 3 people with our flag and a dream. that was it. We had to build a small autonomous car, to drive itself through a street and everything. But with extreme hard work and lots of dedication and lots of effort, we were the international robotics champions of that year, 2016. The first time Argentina got a golden medal on the international autonomous cars. It was a moment of extreme happiness. We were shouting and jumping and running around the university there in Israel. Everybody was looking at us like, what's wrong with these guys? But we were so happy. I called my dad at the time. I didn't realize they would charge me $80 for that call, because I was calling to the other extreme of the world. I go, Dad, we won. And he just stays silent and goes, please don't joke about this. Don't let this be a joke. please don't tell me it's a joke. And he just started crying, and we were on TV and everything. So it was great. It was really great, getting involved in that. And it was a really good experience to be there and to win, of course. But why am I telling you this? Not only because I really enjoy and it makes me happy to tell the story, but also because this trip, this championship, this experience was the breaking point for me. That really made me realize that the technology we learned being 17 at high school was actually extremely powerful, right? Because if we could win a championship against 43 Russians and 33 Ukrainians, that probably means we can grab that technology we learned and put it to a even better use, right? Use it to change the world for real, in a really more literal way. And that's how I got back home. I finished high school that year. I was in the summer break before starting my university. And I just thought, well, what can I do to help someone who needs help, right? Or what can I do that makes a difference? And that's how I just started looking around. And there's an important part of my childhood that I didn't mention. That is, I grew up with disabled people. My entire life, I grew up with deaf people, particularly because my mom is a teacher for deaf people and an interpreter for sign language, right? So I grew up, my brother and I, we grew up watching deaf people suffer on like trying to do things or activities that for us, maybe for me and for you also, are daily things, right? Things of our daily life, like, I don't know, asking for a direction on the street, I don't know, going to buy something at a drugstore, jumping to a bus, whatever, daily stuff that we do, and we don't find any trouble doing that, right? But deaf people do, and not only for, maybe we could say, like simple stuff like the things I just mentioned, but also going to a doctor, trying to go to a police station to report a crime, right? They can't do it. So we're not talking only about products and services, but we're also talking about rights that they don't access, because society tends to ignore that there are like 350, 400 million people in the world that have problems in their hearing, right? And in their communications, of course. So I grew up seeing that, and I said, like, it really got me a bit angry, because I'm a technology fan, and I went like, how do we have technology to put people on Mars, or we have artificial intelligence that can process information at extreme velocity and with extreme intelligence, literally, but we can't have something that helps deaf people have a better life quality, right? So I said, okay, maybe if we could just win this international robotics championship, we can grab all that coding we know and all the technology we learned and put it to a good use for deaf people. And that is how Háblalo was born, the app for disabled people, which at the beginning was just a small project, like personal project. I never thought it as a startup or something like that, but it became like a huge snowball. And yeah, here we are, right? Like lots of things happened in the middle. It's been 4 years since Háblalo launched. We are helping more than 100,000 people with different disabilities in 53 countries, including Australia, for example. And yeah, I have Asteroid, which is the company I run. We are 10 people in the team working for technology for disabled people and technology to help people in vulnerable situations. And yeah, we were selected as the Humanitarian Innovation of the Year by MIT.
Oh, nice.
And well, as you probably know too, we were selected by the Peking University as one of the best social innovations worldwide. That's kind of the short story.
Short story. It's definitely it's a great short story, but I'm sure like when you were living that, it was a long one. It's love that story. Thank you so much for sharing. I think like I love that you've been able to share your skills and applied that to create that technology for good, of benefit to society, and providing, that really much needed resource. And it's crazy to think as well that all of this started from just the robotics club in high school. Like that really kickstarted everything, right? So I guess something to recommend to maybe one of our listeners, if someone's, in high school, like to definitely get involved in your robotics club at school. If there isn't one, make one in your school.
Yes, definitely.
And get that started.
Please do. Yeah, I always tell a story like that because it really shaped me. Like being able to understand technology and to study technology through robotics, which is actually a game. It is a sport, right? It's a kind of a sport, and as like with any sport, you learn through having fun, through practicing, right? But it's something you do because it's a hobby. It's something you like, you enjoy. It's not like the classic education, which you are sitting looking at a whiteboard, and there's a teacher telling you something, and you have to just copy that and then repeat it on a test. But it's a really fun, entertaining, and really enjoyable activity, which we loved. Like it wasn't even mandatory in our school to go to robotics club. We went every single Friday because we loved it.
Yeah.
And that's what shaped me in the knowledge of technology, but also in the knowledge of hard work, learning how to fail and how to get up again and deal with failure, right? And also how to work as a team and how to respect people in my team and their knowledge too. So yeah, if we can give a strong message, please go to the robotics club or make one.
I was just going to say, I don't think I had one in high school, but I'm sure if like I had tried to reach out to like my teachers, that I could have gotten started. Did you get like for that robotics club, that was funded by the school, right? Or did you get did the school then apply for like external funding? Because I'm just thinking for like maybe some of our listeners who maybe don't have the means or they don't have a robotics club, like maybe it could be that I don't know, request for a grant from like a company or something like that.
No, there are lots of grants. Yeah, in our case, it was fully funded by the school because, maybe I'll just give you a little bit of context. Argentina has a really huge public education system. Like education in Argentina is entirely free. Not like you don't have to pay for education. There are public schools. Like primary schools, high schools, and universities, you don't have to pay for anything. But, sadly, that public system through decades and through, I don't want to get into politics, but through like really not the best of the politicians shaping that and not really investing and not really taking care of it as they should have, it has grown into not really the best educational system. So my school is a private school, which it's huge. It actually has funding from all over the world. So that's what I'm telling you. Why I'm telling you, we are one of the not the only ones, but one of the few schools who have a robotics club, right? So I'm also very thankful for that because in my country it's kind of a privilege. So that's why I'm now working to try and convince leaders in my country to bring that kind of education to every single kid in every single province of everything single place in Argentina, right? So that's kind of the work I'm trying to do. But yeah, if excluding Argentina from the conversation, if you're listening to this and you really want to get into it, there are lots of organizations from the States, from Europe, from Asia that fund robotics teams and people who really want to get involved. So yeah, please go ahead because it's really, it can be something that shapes your life for the better.
Yeah, definitely. And I really love earlier that you had acknowledged that privilege of, being able to have that experience. And then now you're also like advocating to make sure that all children, within Argentina get that, as well as, just giving that advice for around the world, if that was the case. So yeah, like that sounds, it sounds really, really cool. And I love that it's how it's shaped your life in a way that, you never have imagined, which is great. You also talked about the app, also very, very cool. Love that, you took that experience from your childhood, from your mum, really being able to work in that space and then now being able to apply for that. What do you think is like your most memorable story that you've heard from a user of the app?
Well, that's a really, really powerful question because there are lots of stories that I hear every single day of people, because maybe I didn't make this clear, but Háblalo started as an app for deaf people, but now we help people with cerebral palsy, with ALS, which is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, aphasias, autism, and lots of different difficulties that affect particularly communication. So maybe like we do have thousands, literally 100,000 stories all the time of people who have a better life quality and more independence thanks to Háblalo, to having Háblalo in their phones. But if I had to choose one, I would choose the story of Prudencio. Prudencio was from Spain, from Tenerife particularly. He had ALS. For people who don't know this, ALS is a really, really, really strong sickness which affects like your physical functions, and it weakens your muscles, and it affects your brain as a whole, right? It's a really hard sickness and disability. Maybe you can relate. I'm thinking you're maybe going to say the same thing as me.
Yeah.
It was the Stephen Hawking's. Was that what you were going to say?
Yeah, that as well as, was it the Ice Bucket Challenge? Was that funny?
Yes,
funny for ALS? Yeah.
Yes, great.
Like, 6 years ago, the Ice Bucket Challenge, or 7 years ago?
Yes.
Was that was ALS, right? I mean, that was funny for ALS.
Yes. I forgot. That was great that you brought that up, because I completely forgot. But yeah, the Ice Bucket Challenge, and also you may remember that Stephen Hawking had this disability or a variant of this sickness. So yeah, it's a really, really hard, strong sickness. And yeah, Prudencio was from Spain, as I was telling you. He was 50, and he was really an active user of Háblalo. Like he always used to send us messages and yeah, like be really active in social media, and we would talk and everything. And he would recommend improvements for the app and everything. And one day, starting last year, 2019. We got an email from his wife, Daniela. It was a really sad email, like you can imagine, telling us that Prudencio had passed away, right? He because of this strong, horrible sickness. Yeah. But yeah, in that email, I save it. I literally printed the email. I have it with me. There's a paragraph which goes like, in Spanish, of course, because they were from Spain, but something like, we are really thankful to all of you, like to all of your team, because Prudencio told me that the last 3 months or 4 months of his life were extremely happier, because he could do the homework with our children, or he could talk with his friends and meet with people and just be heard, right? Like have a voice. And when I read that, of course, I started crying rivers. But when I heard that, I said, what can I complain about, right? How could I be complaining because, I don't know, the company is hard to run, or we are in a financial trouble, when there are literally around 600 million people like Prudencio who have disabilities, and no one is giving them a solution. So anytime I have a really hard day, I have a really difficult time, I just grab that piece of paper, I read the paragraph, and I go on, because that's the strongest, really the strongest motivation one can have when doing a project like this, right? And anytime you have a difficult time, just think of Prudencio and go on, because he needed us, and he, at least for 4 months, he got to have a better life quality. But there are hundreds of millions of people who don't. So we have to work hard to reach those people, from Argentina to South Korea to Australia to United Kingdom to the United States, and every single corner of the world. So people with this kind of disabilities are recognized, are visibilized, and are given a better life quality, right? So yeah, if I have to choose one story, that would be it.
Yeah, like it's exactly that. Like, you know, sometimes in those moments of when things get tough, like, yeah, it's when you have stories like that, I'm sure that really keeps you going during those difficult times. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's amazing the impact that you've had on people, like through the app. And when you say numbers like that, what was it, 600 million people around the world, was it, that are disabled?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
That's, yeah.
Who have disabilities which enter into the spectrum of Háblalo, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love as well with the app, you've created it so that it's in different languages. So it's not just in Spanish, it's in English and
It's in 53 languages. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And then again, like with it being in 53 languages, then you can be able to really, get that far reaching all around the world and really be able to reach all those countries. So that's amazing. Very, very cool. And thank you so much for, again, sharing that story with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, wow, honestly, like it's amazing. And it's really admirable, the stuff that you guys are doing.
Hi there. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We just wanted to let you know that we're on social media at WeAreGCM. And don't hesitate to follow us. And if you'd like to support us further, we also have a Patreon page. Type in Global Changemakers and decide which tier is best for you. And now, on with the rest of the episode.
Something you'd mentioned a little bit just now, being entrepreneur, having this this venture, like not only have you got the app, but you've also got a venture where you really create different ways to make technology. Could you tell us a little bit more about Asteroid Technologies, like what really your main focuses are, your mission, and what that looks like today?
Yeah, sure. So Asteroid actually was born kind of because of the need of giving an institutional background kind of to Háblalo. Let me explain that better. Like I started Háblalo without a purpose of it being one of the most downloaded app for disabilities of the world, or becoming a company or building a huge team. I just built it so my friends and people I know who are deaf could use it and really enjoy technology themselves. But I never really thought it as a venture or a startup like at all. But when it started growing in 2017, it really started growing like big, like 10,000 downloads, 15,000 downloads, 20,000 downloads. It started really growing, and lots of people were like flooding our emails with suggestions or questions and congratulations and things. And I was on my own, like entirely on my own. I was running like social media, the web page. I was coding the app. I was coding the updates. I was designing the logos and all sorts of stuff entirely on my own. Which you don't have to do. Yeah, which you should do.
That's like 3-4 people. You're doing it just you.
Yes. If you're listening to this and you want to be an entrepreneur, don't do that. Please. It will save you a lot of time. Don't follow that path. But that got me to learn that, okay, this is the moment in where I need a company. I need a venture. I need a team. I need people to support me because, I'm good at coding, for example, but I'm not good at designing, so I cannot design things myself, and I cannot be the support for all of our users myself, and I cannot give talks also myself, like doing everything. So yeah, I started with Asteroid because the name comes just because I'm a fan of space and astronomy in general. So I don't know. It has nothing to do with disability, but I just like it. I love it. I always wanted to be an astronaut, so I went like, okay, if I'm going to go to space, maybe I can have an asteroid, right? So yeah,
that was combining the two passions into the name.
Exactly. And yeah, that's how it was born. Like why we needed a company, but what was the idea around Asteroid? Because Háblalo, as you know, is an entirely free app. No one pays anything for the app, like not in money, not with their data, not with ads, with nothing. Like you don't pay anything. We don't get money from the app. But Asteroid isn't a nonprofit. It's not an NGO. It's a company for profit because we are built on the idea to like. Our technology is cool, like Háblalo is cool. It helps lots of people and it's really great. But our technology isn't NASA technology, right? Like any technology company in the world could build something like Háblalo, right? But our area of expertise, right, we're in the part in which we excel or we make a real difference, also apart from the fact that we have a huge advisory team of people with disabilities, and we really work hard on the interface for disabled people and stuff, and communication and etc. But our real area of excellence is building business models around free products like Háblalo, which allow us to sustain the company and the project over time without having to charge a penny to the people with disabilities we help. For example, in Háblalo, we developed Háblalo for Business. That's our business model, in which we charge governments and private companies, which provide customer service, like face to face, right? Like verbally speaking. I don't know, like a small store, a shopping center, police station, hospital, like literally anywhere in which you have a counter with which you receive people and you talk to them. They can hire, like with a monthly fee, they can hire our service, and we provide them a way to be really inclusive and to provide their products and services to people with disabilities. So by hiring that, they become a really inclusive company. They become a really inclusive environment as a whole. They support a project that's helping people for free in the entire world. So that's like part of a social responsibility, right? That they should embrace. And also they get more clients that they didn't get, because lots of people with disabilities start to choose those those places against maybe competition, because they can get services provided to them in a proper way, in an adapted way, in an inclusive way in those companies, right? So that's kind of the core thing of Asteroid. We not only develop the technology, but we work extremely hard and we put lots of brains into, well, how do we sustain this? How do we make a profit of this so we can reinvest and make it better without charging a single buck to anyone we are helping? So that's kind of the reason Asteroid was born and how it started to build up. And now we are 10 people. We are 4 partners, and we have 6 people in the team, from developers to designers and commercials. But yeah, we're really having a good time. Financial troubles, of course, come because we are, maybe for people who have not heard about. I think I've told you a little bit about this, but Argentina is a really difficult place for financial speaking. Like, we're in economic crisis for like the past 80 years. so it's really hard to have a venture here and to grow and scale. But we're doing it, like, slowly. We are growing, and we are getting somewhere big, not only with the helping disabled people, which we already are with 110,000 in the entire world, but also getting to change companies and change governments and change societies entirely, so that they embrace inclusion in a really particular and strong way, right? So that's what Asteroid does, and that's why we exist.
Wow, that is amazing. I think that's really, really awesome to hear that, you know, you really think about like kind of 2 parts there. You're thinking about like developing the technology, but also building that business model. And what I really love, I mean, in my day job personally, I do like both, basically those 2 things as well. And I think what I really love about you guys is that you really focus on that business to business aspect, and how that charge, or that, you know, the way that really funds your whole venture is through different other businesses paying for your service, rather than going through to the customer. And yeah, like you were saying, just really focusing on that aspect of like making sure that people actually aren't paying for it. It's more the businesses that are paying for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just designed, instead of going B2C or only B2B, we go kind of B2B to C, right? So
yeah.
businesses pay for our service to provide to customers.
Nice, awesome. For anyone who doesn't know, B2B means business to business, and then B2C, business to client, the lingo.
True.
Yeah.
So we go business to client.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, that's
better.
Love it. That's so good. It's so good. I guess, you talked about that trend, in the world where you really want to emphasize like changing companies, focusing on that inclusion for everyone in the world. Where do you see the future? Like you're one of those venture capitals now that have begun that really focus on that social good, where you're really abiding by your, how you can contribute to society overall. How do you see it moving forward into the future?
Okay, well, so
given that like you're one of the few, are you seeing like slowly businesses are starting to change like how they're evaluating success, like rather than just focusing solely on profit? Like is it more focusing on social good? Yeah, like I just would love to understand like how you're seeing the work that you're doing kind of influence how other businesses are running in Argentina or around the world.
No, I think change is coming. We're really believing in a particular moment of human history, right? And I don't want to really get a lot into this because you will have me talking here for 1 hour and people will just leave. So I'll try to be brief.
It's an interesting topic, but
it is.
It's so, honestly, I could do the same. Like, I love that. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, though.
So we're really into the fourth industrial revolution and it's growing bigger as we speak, right? And there's nothing slowing it down. But this fourth industrial revolution, which comes with lots of cultural, economic, financial, and social changes, also comes with the necessity, the real importance of ventures, businesses, governments to embrace tech, not only for profit, for efficiency, and for like financial growth, but also for life quality, right? To embrace technology as I like to call it, the equalizing tool of excellency, right? What do I mean with this? Technology isn't only a way of making money or a way of making cool ventures that look good on your webpage or building apps that you put ads on and you make money, which is great. Like I also try to empower lots of kids to do that because it's a really great space to explore and it's really profitable too. But that's not the only thing with technology. And that's not the only thing entrepreneurs, governments, leaders, the private sector, or the venture capital space should be looking at. Because technology, as I was telling you, is the equalizing tool, the best equalizing opportunity equalizing tool there is, right? You can use tech to make, like, just imagine if a 17-year-old from just average neighborhood in a South American country could build an app that helps 110,000 people. Imagine if the biggest companies, the Fortune 500s, the biggest governments invested like really directly and in an intelligent way in technology for good, right? For helping people, for changing lives, for improving life quality. So I think we entrepreneurs or the venture capital space, governments, leaders, we have to take responsibility because we are the privileged ones that understand the power of technology, right? I would not ask someone who doesn't, like who really, I don't know, I wouldn't ask my dad, like a 60-year-old, to grab technology and start coding something to change lives, because of course it's not his thing. He doesn't really get it like in a deep way, and not. I don't feel it's his responsibility, but our generation, you, me, and lots of young people listening to this, we are the breaking point between past and future, right? We are the generation that has to grab all the knowledge of the past and put it to good use to allow and embrace a cool future, right? Driven by technology, but not only a technological future, like in the most literal way, but also a more inclusive, more fair, more equal future, right? And we can do it. We can do it through technology. Like if I could do it, and I'm just an average 21-year-old with like the same issues and I don't know fears and stuff of every 21-year-old around the world, or maybe most of us. Everyone can do it. Everyone can embrace technology and empower themselves and their communities through technology. So if I would just have to leave a message for our generation, but also for older generations that are looking at us and trying to build the best world possible to live, for us to shape, I would say, yeah, embrace technology, but don't forget that you have 15% of the population of the entire world, that being like 8 billion people who are disabled and need solutions and need to access rights and need equality and need opportunities as much as we do, right? So not only, like, I think the 21st century, the world of the 21st century is no longer a world for just profit. It's also a world for profit, but also for helping people, for changing lives, for improving life quality. And in general, it's a moment for shaping a more equal and fair world and society as a whole.
Nice. I think I love how you were talking about like the fourth, revolution, and how like as young people we can really be part of that as well, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely agree with you. Like there's definitely that need for focusing not only on innovation just for everyone, but just innovation in general, but making sure that innovation is for everyone. Xavier, I was interested about for Asteroid Technologies, you said that you had 10 employees. Now that we're in COVID, with everything happening and going on, how have you pivoted as a team with the current situation? Would love to understand how you've adapted.
Well, that's a really good question. Asteroid is a really particular venture because we drive through bootstrapping. For people who are not really into the world of entrepreneurs, bootstrapping means like building your company with low resources or with your own resources, like not depending on funding from externals, right? From other people who invest in your company. So we invest ourselves, and we invested ourselves, like the partners of the company, to build it, and invested in the business model. Of course, trying to be as intelligent as possible to get that investment back. So we could keep investing into technology for people with different vulnerabilities. But going directly to the question, we are having a pretty hard time, right? Of course, since March, we are home office. Like everyone is doing home office since March the 13th. So it's a long time no see for the team at the company. But the main pivot that we had to go through is probably the business model. Our business model depends on stores and establishments, like places that are open to the public. It's extremely hard and strict. So most of our clients started like not paying.
Because I can imagine they can barely pay their staff, and then it's
of course,
finding
they
anything.
started canceling subscriptions, and we had huge contracts going on with an airline, a huge bank, American bank, and a huge, really well-known, which you know, but I can't mention, fast food chain. You can imagine which one it is. And it all,
It'll came to a stop.
Exactly. It'll stop like suddenly because of COVID, but we had to pivot, which we are doing right now, to like activating with lots of urgency our plan of international expansion, right? So right now we're talking to businesses in other countries that are not in a really hard lockdown as we are. So they're open and they're doing business, so they can maybe hire our product. So we are talking with people in Latin America, in the United States, in Spain also, in other parts of Europe, to try and install the business model there and recover our income, which we had. Right now, it's a really, really hard financial moment, but I think we'll live through it.
No, it's good to hear that you've been able to adapt with the current situation of what's going on and still continue to use it. I guess, hopefully, I mean, we don't know when this will all end, but hopefully, it'll slowly get better and better. And it's good to hear as well that you've, been able to survive during this time overall.
Anna, and here in Argentina, we always say that we are built resilient because we're used to economical crisis, to political issues and lots of stuff. So we're raised resilient. We're built, like Argentine entrepreneurs are built to fail and recover. So I think we'll get through it.
We'll get through it. Amazing. I love that. Like that resilience. So good, especially during times like this. So love it. Cool. Thank you, Mateo, for today. I think like overall, just super, super inspirational. If anyone wanted to get in contact with you, how can they do this?
Okay, that's a good question. So you can get to me in any of my social media, which my handle for social media is
we can link it in the bio. We can link it in the bio.
Okay,
cool, yeah. Of this podcast,
because I would have to spell it, and it would be hard. But please do. In my webpage also that I'm going to give you the link so we can leave it there. You can find an email in which you can contact me, and I'll be happy to hear from you. With anything I can help you with. I'm really at the disposal of anyone who wants to make the world a better place. Truly, no matter where you're from or what you're doing, you can count on me.
Thank you so much for speaking at such great length, on the topic of technology and how we can create technology for good. It's really quite inspirational, and I know that our listeners would be very inspired too. So thank you, Mateo, and I hope you have a great day ahead with everything going on, and I hope your family continues to stay safe and well, and everything continues to kind of go good. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, I thank you very much, because it's really important to count on young people like you also trying to spread the word on these important things, and inclusion and accessibility and entrepreneurship and technology. So it's really important that we are living in a world which is extremely globalized, and we have to collaborate. And counting on you, being from Australia and I've been from Argentina, which are literally on the other ends of the world.
Literally, the other end.
Yes. It's really great to count on you. And for every young person listening to this, you can also count on us. So I'm really thankful for being here and thankful to you for giving me the time to spread the word a little bit. So thank you very much, and really happy to be here. And you stay safe too. And everyone listening to this, stay safe. We'll get through this very soon.
That's it.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Remember that you can help us have a greater impact by sharing this and encouraging everybody on your social media to take a listen. If you want to reach out, remember that the contact of the co-host is down below in the show notes, or feel free to do it on social media at WeAreGCM. We'll be very happy to talk to you and answer any of your questions. Also, remember to follow us and to subscribe to this podcast. See you in the next episode. Take care.